Hi, everyone. My name's Zach Watson. I'm VP of Enterprise Sales here at Birdeye, and I'll be the host for today's session. Uh, we've got an exciting session, and don't forget on the right of the screen here, you have a Q&A box. Feel free to place any questions that you have for the speakers. We'll certainly get to them as we can. Also, there's an attendee chat, and that's really a space for you guys to collaborate together and just keep an open discussion throughout our session. Uh, I'd like to introduce Melissa Cameron. She's SVP of Customer Acquisition at National Storage Affiliates. She's got an extensive background in digital marketing and has earned herself the Direct Marketing News 40 Under 40 Award. With over 20 years of digital marketing experience, she's worked previously at Extra Space Storage and has 7 years associated with Future Now Inc., which is a pioneer agency in the digital space focused on conversion rate optimization. Thanks so much for spending time with us today, Melissa. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to all the folks joining the session.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here, Zach.
Yeah. So, Melissa, I know National Storage Affiliates has multiple brands, which I feel makes you guys very unique in the space, especially in such a complex industry like self-storage. Can you kind of kick us off by sharing how you differentiate those brands supported by NSA?
Sure. There's 12 storage brands that sit under NSA's umbrella. And it really starts with analyzing who our customers are, right? There's different audiences by each brand. These things are such as demographics, reasons for needing storage, if there's renters or homeowners, and even their review ratings and the things that they're calling out in the reviews. There's some little nuances and differences by market. So this information really helps us differentiate our brands by being more locally focused in our marketing efforts and our customer experience efforts. It helps us acquire and serve our customers in each individual market separately.
Great. And how do customers discover NSA's facilities, and also, what factors ultimately contribute to their decision to stay with NSA as a long-term customer?
Yeah, to begin with, storage it's a need-based product. It's a need-based industry. So people generally are going through a life transition, and it starts with them searching for storage in their city or where they're moving, whatever is causing that need. And they'll often compare options in search results, and particularly within the maps area of the search results. Two common ways to compare would be, for instance, the proximity or the location of the store, that they're looking at to where they're actually moving or residing. And another way is review scores and the volume of those reviews. Those are deciding factors on even what to click in the first place. It's a big reason why, managing citations effectively is so critical, and having strong review strategy is so important to performance. It helps gain authority with search engines, of course, the algorithms, as well as helps searchers to actually choose what to click. As for what makes a customer stay, that's a little bit different since storage is needs-based. We're not going to create a need if it's not there. What we can do is try and retain customers and ensure that, we're not creating customer experience problems within their journeys where they're looking for another place to store instead and looking to change. In general, people stay longer than they expected. Moving is not easy, and I think all of us know that. Generally, if they're on something like auto pay, they'll likely stay a little bit longer than if they weren't, for instance.
Yeah, I can imagine that customer retention is kind of a key benchmark for your industry specifically. I'd be curious, after the customer finds you online, can you maybe shed a little bit of light on what the rest of the customer journey looks like within your space?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually, from the search, let's say for storage, it could somebody could click to call, or they could click to go to the website. They could be on their mobile device, which is often time. And our goal is to create a simplified and enhanced customer journey, no matter the channel that they're using, to compare and rent a unit. So, no matter the device they're using, no matter the channel they've chosen, we really want to meet the customer where and how they want to be met. That's the key. So they can either make a reservation directly on the website or the call center, and this could be them planning for their move further out, where they just want to make the reservation like you would with a rental car, for instance. Or we encourage them to make move-in day easy, rent now, fully pay and sign your lease, get it done, and just remove one more task on your move-in day. And after somebody moves in, or even throughout after a reservation's taken place, we send a series of automated trigger emails and text messages throughout the journey, to lead nurture where important. And once they've actually rented, they get their gate code, their unit number, details around moving in to make their move-in day easier, all through these easy communications that are triggered. And again, to wrap up that customer journey, people generally stay longer than a year on average. I'm definitely giving you the average there. This very much fluctuates based on the reason why they're using storage and multiple different variables that affect that we analyze on a regular basis.
Got it. And it's really interesting to hear about how, self-serve versus true human interaction has impacted your space specifically. And that's something we've spoken about at length as we've gotten to know each other. Having spent over 2 decades, as a marketing leader in a truly kind of digital world, can you share insight on how you've seen automation evolve throughout the course of your career?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I feel lucky to have witnessed the evolution in digital marketing, digital platforms, automation and AI. And I've seen a lot of evolution, obviously, since, the late 90s, let's put it that way. But I'd say kind of the biggest growth in automation has likely happened, I think, due to COVID. Like during COVID, due to COVID, people are looking for more self-serve digital experiences. We were already pointed in that direction, but I think it sped up the development, it multiplied. Automation and intelligence are obviously at the core of developing simplified and enhanced self-serve digital experiences. So, and there's a benefit of obviously helping with business efficiency too. So, some examples that I've seen, earlier in automations and AI developments and digital marketing were more so found in, like, let's say, the paid marketing space. And sophistication continues to grow with models and AI development for marketing and pricing. A bigger focus, I'd say, these days, and a difference or a change is really leveraging automation and AI for optimizing like critical points of the customer journey. I think that's what we're seeing more and more of. And such as mentioning automated triggered emails or text messages at certain points of that journey, trigger points, also leveraging chatbots as part of sales or service experiences, cross-device, cross-channel. There's just so much runway that still exists for continued development, I'd say, of AI and automation. So I'm excited of where it goes next, especially now that we have access to, ChatGPT and similar AIs. There's just so much at our fingertips to continue to build and optimize on, and create those business practices and improve customer experiences.
Yeah. And, thinking about, customer journeys and the insights you guys are collecting, how important is customer feedback in shaping and ultimately improving customer journeys for an SA?
It's critical. It is foundational. Customers are at the core of everything that we do. That's who we're serving. And we know that by creating a simplified and enhanced experience, alongside, of course, the leveraging of advanced sophistication in marketing and pricing practices, these things combined will result in the best performance, right? And that's ultimately what we're trying to go after. And in order to optimize the customer journey, we need to be analyzing who our customers are, what the good and bad is in the experiences we're giving them on an ongoing basis. So we actually collect feedback through various functions. We collect feedback at the call center via text message after a call ends to get a sense of the customer satisfaction score. We conduct customer surveys to find out more about who they are, what their satisfaction level is, how they feel about us. We also actively ask for reviews. So we constantly are analyzing this data, right, from all of these sources. And it's really for the purpose of identifying areas of opportunity and escalate concerns through the right channels to find and deliver, the ideal solutions to ultimately improve the experiences, especially where we're noticing those gaps. So yeah, the customer is key.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, it's great to hear how you guys are not just collecting all of this feedback, but actually analyzing the feedback for areas of opportunity within the business. I'd love to learn more about this. if you wouldn't mind sharing, I guess, a little bit about how the various departments at NSA are collaborating on these data points just to shape the customer experience, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's loaded. I would say that there's so much cross-functional work between so many departments. If I can just call out what's top of mind, marketing, pricing, call center, which all three of those departments are under the customer acquisition umbrella. And we did that for a reason because of the critical nature of that cross-functional work, but also the work with data science and the operations team, the boots on the ground. We all are hand in hand. We work together to drive, the sophistication in all of our strategies. But I'd say even more importantly, we're working together on identifying the gaps, and we're trying to close those gaps together, right? Where we're maybe not quite living up to what needs to be done for the customer to enhance their experience. All of this is with the ultimate goal of driving revenue. We know that simplifying and enhancing that journey, it's a big part of being able to increase revenue. So that's kind of a key. Some examples that come to mind in terms of departments working together, and some specific examples for you is like a reputation management strategy, or how we're garnering reviews, or analyzing reviews and the importance of practices. So our, local search marketing obviously is critical in terms of reviews. So it's a big focus for our search engine optimization teams, as well as our paid marketing teams. And they are working closely on those strategies. And they're hand in hand with operations, where boots on the ground, those folks are asking for reviews at the point of sale, which is really beneficial. Another example of cross-functional is customer service and the processes we've built to solve customer problems, closing the loop with the customer. So we've built like particular processes and dashboards, which essentially they automatically escalate and alert issues to critical parties, and then hold those team members accountable to solving or resolving issues within certain timeframes. And another one, for instance, is like analyzing the changes in our customer survey responses. Like, what is changing over time in terms of what people are saying in terms of when do they need storage? Are they shopping around more? Learning the behavior changes, and then even the changes in concerning areas within the journey. The analysts that we have on the team, they work with the marketing team to conduct the surveys and report on the findings, and then build those dashboards. And then there's ongoing learnings of, who our customers are, what their needs are, how we can better serve them, and then there's processes in place for the internal feedback loop, so that we are continuously evolving our strategies cross-functionally with all the appropriate parties.
Got it. And I think throughout Birdeye View, we're going to hear a lot about AI. Birdeye is launching 2 new features alongside our conference here, mostly around review summaries and survey summaries. So basically, we're using AI-generated survey summaries to, scan your reviews and your surveys to create short bullet point summaries within the platform, so that you can access those insights kind of on the fly. Speaking to AI specifically, I know NSA is already doing a great job of collecting and analyzing customer feedback, both with reviews and surveys, using AI and automation. But can you walk us through a little bit more detail of what your review and survey processes look like?
Yeah, sure. I'll get a little more detailed, because I think I've, alluded to some things. But so there's essentially a manual piece and a digital piece that work hand in hand. The digital automation is released by triggers, right? Certain actions, certain events that trigger the sends. So the digital marketing team, built these campaigns with our analysts within Birdeye that are automated once the move-in actually happens. So when somebody rents with us and moves in, we do 2 things. One is to ask for the review, one of the sends. The second send is a move-in survey. And that's not just to find out their satisfaction level, but to get more information about who our customers are and what's causing the need for storage. We're aware of that overlap of triggering 2 pieces of communication after a move-in. So we've strategically kind of parse those out a little bit within that first week, so they don't just land on top of each other, because we don't want to frustrate the customer with over communication either. And we want high response rates, right? So we also trigger a move out survey. So when they move out, we really want to understand, why are they leaving? And like we talked about earlier, is it because they no longer need storage anymore? Or did we actually do something to make them want to look for another storage solution? I'd say the manual process now, because that's the whole digital process. The manual process is that partnership with the operations team, and it's in person. So not all rentals happen in person at the stores. For the ones that do, there's practices in place and even goals set with our operations team to get reviews at the point of sale, when they're signing a lease and paying for that. And really the way in which it's even being talked about is, you're helping other customers find storage solutions. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a review to help others who are searching. And that way, the way you talk about getting a review, it's less for business reason. It's more to help other folks like yourself, the customers. We also, folks are coming in the office to pay a bill, or, the store employee sees somebody that they often see at their unit, coming in and out. They might ask for a review at that point. The boots on the ground has really helped. So the digital sends drives a lot of volume, but so does the boots on the ground.
Got it. And how are you using, the insights that you're collecting in these reviews and surveys to improve the customer journey?
Yeah. So, it's one of the big reasons why we came on to Birdeye, is leveraging the AI insights. We use them. A couple of examples: we analyze performance by location, and we've built, we leverage the dashboards within Insights directly and have pulled some of those numbers in. We look at review count goals for each store, because they do have set goals for every single store. And we have management escalation processes around that for stores that are maybe not hitting their goals. And because it's such a critical part of what we're trying to do for our performance. Another thing, we analyze, the sentiment found throughout the content in reviews and surveys. We're really looking for opportunities to improve and to even challenge maybe some of our processes. So we've got chosen topics to track, and we analyze trends around those topics. If I were to point out an example of this in use, for instance, there are in our industry pricing issues, particularly as it relates to sentiment that might exist around getting rate increases, which is a common practice in storage. Is you come in at a certain rate, and it's a starting rate, and your rate could be increased, and it often does at multiple times throughout your journey. And yes, we have machine learning built in place for who, what, where, when, to give rate increases, but we don't just let the machine run on its own. We realize there's value in looking at the qualitative, which is through data still, but we might notice changes in negative sentiment around rate increases, and perhaps where, there's a struggle in the economy and people are tighter with cash. It might be so we have to watch these changes, and this data may and has influenced at times adjustments in our rate increase strategy. It really helps to kind of shed some light into what maybe our machine learning might have missed in terms of the risk of, we call it the risk of churn. It's really the risk of turnover. Right? We want to reduce that risk.
Okay. And once you identify these risks, how do you handle that negative feedback or negative, complaints from customers, and then take those steps to ultimately retain the customers?
Yeah, we're leveraging Birdeye's automation for the positive reviews, right? So if a review is 4 to 5 stars, those are automatically responded to using various responses. We've fed it over time and built and optimized over time. Obviously, we still want to close the loop, even if it's a positive review. I think communication is critical with customers when they're taking their time to do that. But if a review comes in more the 1 to 3 star rating, that's negative. And we use more baseline templates, and based on the issues being called out, we will personalize those responses. And in some situations, we have to escalate the issues to be resolved. And we have a whole process and protocol in place there with service level agreement on response time expectations with these various parties. And with that, it has to continue to close the loop. You escalate it, you resolve it, and then you close the loop with communication effectively. And what you're really trying to do is turn a negative experience around. And we've seen that happen. And it's a beautiful thing. I think we should all have that goal to try and turn those experiences around.
Yeah, that speaks to the importance of responding to reviews, showing customers that you care, transforming those negative experiences to positives, but also the SEO benefits associated with it. And one of the things that we've also rolled out at Birdeye is an AI assisted review response. I'm really excited about this. It generates personalized responses to reviews based off of sentiment, but it can also auto translate, which is going to be huge for international clients. And I wanted to kind of move into our last question here. From your experience using a combination of technology, manual processes, can you discuss a little bit further how businesses can implement both those human touches and AI to coexist in their business operations?
Yeah, I think it's critical. And I'd suggest start at like a starting place, which is, mapping out your entire customer journey. And thinking about it where you're trying to identify gaps. You're trying to identify gaps within the actual customer journey itself, where maybe you could make the journey more simple and enhanced for the customer. And also leveraging, intelligence and sophistication. So more the back end gaps where maybe your processes could benefit from some of these automations and AIs. But if you think about it this way, you've mapped out the entire customer journey. You have identified those gaps on the front end and the back end. Looking at the gaps, think about whether leveraging AI or automation or the human touch will help advance any aspect of what we call at NSA the 3Ps, which is people, processes, and platforms, because that's usually where the opportunity exists. With the human touch or AI or automation is, does it affect the people, right? Like a chatbot versus a person, processes and platforms. And then once you have that like list of gaps, prioritizing the list of opportunities by impact and effort to, make sure that you're focused on things that will really help you strategically drive performance. And, I've mentioned some examples of AI and human touch coming together at NSA already. Whether it's the manual and digital review request strategy, et cetera. I will say this, I do not recommend implementing AI and automation simply because it's a shiny toy. If you take kind of this methodical approach to the customer journey and analyzing where these opportunities exist, I believe it'll have a much bigger impact on your business.
Awesome. And thank you so much for your time, Melissa. If anyone wants to connect with her after the session, her LinkedIn is on the Birdeye View website. Would also like to say thank you to all of our attendees for tuning in. And if there were any questions that we weren't able to get to during the session, we'll be sure to follow up with you to get those answered. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Have a great day.